If you're operating in the Sacco space, well, you already know that member trust is basically the absolute currency of your institution. You can't survive without it. But what happens when that trust is no longer just a nice promise you make, but a strict, hard and fast legal requirement? That's what we're looking at today. Let's dive right into this explainer and sketch out the 2020 non-deposit taking business regulations. We're going to take part 12 of the law and transform it into a really clear, actionable compliance roadmap for you. By the end of this, we'll have broken down exactly what consumer protection actually means under these regulations, so we can ensure your organization isn't just checking compliance boxes, but is genuinely built on rock-solid institutional integrity. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're covering 5 main operational pillars: the foundation of fairness, total transparency, marketing and fair collection, empowering members, and finally, handling complaints. Let's just jump right in. Section 1, the foundation of fairness. This brings us to Regulation 68, which is all about equal access. Okay, let's start right at the bedrock of this entire framework. Regulation 68 explicitly dictates that Saccos must be built on absolute equality, period. This is your operational baseline for every single product and service you offer. You absolutely cannot discriminate against any member who is trying to access financial products based on race, gender, age, tribe, religion, or political affiliation. The law mandates a perfectly level playing field for everyone. That means your financial products have to be developed to improve the socioeconomic interests of all members equally. And, just as importantly, information about those products must be reasonably accessible to absolutely everyone. Now, sticking with this same regulation, there's a really crucial number you need to remember, and that's 30. Saccos must give at least 30 days of advance written notice before changing any product features. You can't just wake up and change a fee structure overnight anymore. You have to proactively inform your members of the likely impact, what their rights are, and the exact effective date of the change. And honestly, here is why this matters so deeply for your daily operations. It isn't just about sending out a memo. It's about giving your members a genuine, real choice. If a change is going to adversely affect them, they get a penalty-free window to just walk away entirely without incurring any charges whatsoever. Think about that. That is a massive, massive shift in consumer power and institutional accountability. Moving on to Section 2, Total Transparency and Disclosure. This covers Regulations 69 through 72. So this section of the law is all about taking the mystery out of things like tariffs, loan terms, and savings accounts. We are officially, legally, leaving the era of hidden terms behind us. The very moment a member opens an account or takes out a loan, your Sacco must fully disclose all tariffs, penalties, and commissions. You have to explicitly state your interest computation method, whether that's variable, fixed, flat, or reducing, and tell them exactly when that interest actually begins to accrue. But it doesn't stop there. The law also requires you to share exactly how dividends on shares and interest on non-withdrawable deposits are calculated and when they get credited. Literally no surprises allowed, just clear, documented facts. Now, think about the traditional risks, and let's be honest, the anxiety of being a guarantor. Well, Regulation 71 is designed to eliminate that anxiety completely. It's a real game changer. A guarantor must be adequately informed of the nature and the exact amount of their liability before they even pick up a pen to sign the paperwork. But the protection doesn't just stop at the signature. Let's say a loan defaults. What happens? The Sacco has exactly 1 month to inform the guarantor in writing. Plus, guarantors now have the explicit legal right to request and receive full access to the performance data of the loan they guaranteed. They are no longer left in the dark wondering what's happening. They have to be kept fully in the loop. All right, Section 3, Marketing and Fair Collection. This brings us to Regulations 73 and 74. This is an area where operations often face the most intense public scrutiny, right? And because of that, the law has set up incredibly strict guardrails here. Regulation 74 places a firm, legally binding cap on interest recovery. It strictly limits the interest a Sacco can recover from a debtor on a delinquent loan to an amount not exceeding what was owed at the exact time the loan actually became delinquent. This fundamentally changes the math on how Saccos manage non-performing accounts. It is designed to completely stop that endless, crushing spiral of debt for struggling members, enforcing a much, much fairer recovery process across the board. And when it comes to the actual collection process, the law draws incredibly strict operational boundaries for debt collectors to ensure nobody is mistreated.
First off, Saccos can only use duly authorized debt collectors. And these collectors, they are explicitly outlawed from using any form of intimidation, violence, or profane language. Absolutely none of that. They also cannot make false legal threats, like, pretending to be an attorney or threatening actions that can't even be legally enforced. Furthermore, a debt collector cannot collect their fees directly from the debtor, and they definitely can't collect any fees that weren't specifically mentioned in the original loan agreement. It's a completely regulated interaction now from start to finish.
That brings us to Section 4, Empowering Sacco Members. Let's look at Regulation 75 regarding education and charters. Regulation 75 enforces a really high standard of consistent communication, just to ensure members are acting as informed stakeholders. There are specific, non-negotiable annual obligations you've got to meet. First up, furnishing members with copies of your bylaws and your audited financials every single year. You're also mandated to hold at least one education day annually to update your members on their rights and any new products you're rolling out. But here is what you really need to prioritize: the requirement for a service charter. You have to actively document and display your exact turnaround times for service delivery and establish crystal clear feedback mechanisms. Plus, every single product must have an easily accessible brochure detailing its features and tariffs. And finally, Section 5, Handling and Resolving Complaints. These are the ultimate guardrails found in Regulations 76 through 78. Look, mistakes happen, we all know that, but the law now dictates exactly how those mistakes have to be rectified. Let's walk through the mandatory life cycle of a complaint. Your internal procedures have to be highly member-friendly and capable of providing a full, clear audit trail. From day one, every single issue must be logged in an accurate, official register. Then a designated officer has to investigate it promptly. And you're on a strict clock here. You must inform the complainant of your progress within 3 months at the absolute maximum. If a complaint is somehow still unresolved after those 3 months, you have exactly 24 hours to escalate it and inform the authority. And, of course, whenever a complaint is justified, you must provide appropriate restitution.
So, the big question: what actually happens when a Sacco or its officers contravene these mandated complaint procedures? It is incredibly vital to understand the regulatory teeth that are backing up these rules.
Because the financial implications for non-compliance are severe, and listen to this, they do not just apply to the institution as some faceless entity. Failing to maintain the complaints register, ignoring those resolution timelines we just talked about, or causing the Sacco to contravene these procedures makes the Sacco or even the specific responsible officer themselves personally liable for a financial penalty of up to 100,000 shillings per contravention. Yes, accountability here isn't just institutional, it is deeply personal. Establishing alternative dispute resolution mechanisms and keeping meticulous records. That's no longer just good customer service. It is a vital, necessary shield against some really hefty regulatory penalties. So take a hard look at your current operations. Are your Sacco's practices genuinely building that institutional trust we talked about at the beginning, or are you just barely scraping by the legal baseline and risking some severe penalties? Understanding the law is really just step one. Execution is everything. For specialized consulting on these matters and to see how this roadmap fits your organization, please reach out directly at 0107 719 089.